The Kenya Open Golf Championship is one of Kenya's longest-running international sporting event. Since 1967, it has continued to attract the best Kenyan golfing talent and golfing stars from around the globe.
50 years of the Kenya Open for me is a significant milestone. I think it reflects the faith that the union had in starting the Kenya Open as an international event, and that we've been able to be doing it for 50 years and reach where we are, I think is a reflection of the faith that the founding fathers of the Kenya Golf Union had in this particular event.
The region's top professional golf championship was first played at Muthaiga Golf Club and for many years after formed part of an African tour spanning several African countries including Kenya. The timing of the tour coincided with the winter months in Europe, and European-based golf professionals used this tour to work on their skill. Local members of the Kenyan golf clubs and players would pick up these professionals from the airport, host them in their homes, take them on safaris, and show them our rich heritage. It's probably from this experience that the safari tour got its name.
We'll make sure that we'll take you to the game park, we'll put you in the best lodges, and you will have an experience that you will remember all your life.
We took a little holiday in safari the week before. It was a wonderful time, and then of course to win the tournament. So it will always mean a lot in my heart. Yeah.
The efforts of Duncan Degwa and others gave rise to a new crop of African players. Players like Mohamed Rajab, who won the first amateur silver salver in 1967, the legendary John Musheru, widely considered as Kenya's greatest amateur golfer of all time, winning in 1979, 1982, 1986, 1988 and 1989.
Around 1968, together with friends, I started a group known as Tobago Golf Club. The club raised interest among Africans in the game at a time when they were virtually excluded from joining existing clubs. With tact, I persuaded the established clubs to assimilate Africans as a natural symbol of independent Kenya.
In the early 80s, Inder Talwar became the first local tournament director and Ngugi Kuna became the first chairperson of the newly formed Kenya Open Golf Limited, a body that was charged with the management of the Kenya Open.
When I became chairman in 1988, there was already some discussion going on about the difficulties of a new chairman having to restart from scratch every year. So we eventually came to the conclusion that it would be the best interest of the game if we formed a company owned 100% by the Kenya Golf Union, because the tournament belongs to the union. That company would then will have its own board of directors and would manage the Open in the interest of the game and for and on behalf of the shareholder of the Kenya Golf Union. So that was the idea that created the Kenya Open Golf Limited.
The success and growth of the Kenya Open has been driven by corporate sponsorship through the last 50 years.
If I remember rightly, the first prize for Peter Thompson in the first year was 30,000 shillings, and the prize fund was probably less than 1 million shillings in total, so you can see how much it's grown.
We thought moving from 10 million to 12 million was a lot of money. Yeah, it's good to see the tournament grow.
We were fortunate enough last year when our chief guest, the President of the Republic of Kenya, decided that he wants to put golf to another level. He has now confirmed that the government will give us 100 million this year, 50 million from the Minister of Sports, 50 million from the Minister of Tourism.
The Kenya Open 2017 did an incredible performance. Even the winner of that cup, parents were born in Kenya. And we were excited. And we consulted with the president, and the president directed that the government will support this event because it's bringing values to the destination, to the country. Therefore, we as a lead agency of government plus the Ministry of Sports have committed $1 million as per the instructions by the president to support Kenya Open, and will continue partnering with Kenya Open for the next 5 years.
Benson & Hedges was the first title sponsor from 1979 to 1983. This was followed by sponsorship from 555 between 1984 and 1990. Standard Chartered took over sponsorship of the Kenya Open from 1991 to 1996, and in 1997, Lonhro joined the prestigious list of title sponsors for the Kenya Open. In 2002, Samir was the title sponsor of the Kenya Open. 2003 marked the second time since 1976 that the Kenya Open would not be held due to lack of sponsorship. It was at this time that Richard Kimoli and Peter Kanyago were invited to lead the Kenya Open Golf Limited and breathe new life into the Kenya Open.
If you look at when it began in 2003, we struggled and struggled just to raise sufficient money to pay the $3 million. But because of the foundation we laid and the commitment we had and our discussions with the Challenge Tour to reassure them it is not a once-off.
Kenya Open was not played in 2003. So the golf fraternity got myself and Richard Kimori to see whether the Kenya Open can be held in Kenya. And there is now the time when Mwai Kibaki, the patron, became president of the Republic. So we were very keen to look for sponsorships. But to start with, we could not get a lot of money.
The following year, 2004, the Kenya Open moved to the Karen Country Club, and Zimbabwe's Mark Kayo was the winner.
This year I planned to go to America, but now winning the Kenyan Open's changed things, and I'll be back on the Challenge Tour now this year. It's going to be a good year for me, I think.
From 2005 to 2009, the Kimoli Kanyogo team secured Tusker as the title sponsors of the Kenya Open. This was the second time for Tusker as a title sponsor, with the first sponsorship running from 1998 to 2001. Tusker has been the title sponsor of the Kenya Open for a duration of 9 years.
So Kenya Breweries has been a very good partner to Kenya Golf, particularly the Open. We've been supporting this event for the last 17 years. As a matter of fact, we started when it was called Safari Kenya Open, and then it moved on and became the Tusker Kenya Open, and we supported that for 10 years.
The Barclays Bank of Kenya has been the official title sponsor of the Kenya Open from 2011 to 2015, and this sponsorship was renewed for a further period of 3 years to run from 2016 to 2018, making them the longest-running consecutive title sponsor of the Kenya Open.
We committed as a country and as a business that we wanted to raise the profile of golf in Kenya. The prize money is now over 500,000 euros. That should make it exciting to any golfer to come here and vie for that prize. And it's now the richest prize on the European Challenge Tour, which in itself speaks for how seriously we take this as an event. So I would urge people to come in, try and qualify, if it's not this year, for future years, because the government has now sponsored another $1 million a year for the next 5 years.
Other notable sponsors of the Kenya Open include Safaricom, Coca-Cola, MultiChoice, and the Nation Media Group.
There has been a notion before that the golf was for the rich and the privileged, and that is not true. And Nation Media Group, as a media company, we thought that one of the ways of ensuring that people know that anyone can play golf was to actually actively support it ourselves.
Of course, we are very proud to be involved in this. We have been supporting now for a number of years. Although we may not be the title sponsor, but we do very, very much like the part that we play because we believe that this is a great sport. Golf is a great sport. And the Kenya Open is basically the climax of the golfing year for this country.
In 1991, the Kenya Open was invited to become a member of the European Challenge Tour.
It's a cool trip. It is. It's always cool to come to Africa. It's very different from the places we normally go.
This development would give local professionals the opportunity to play in other events on the Challenge Tour abroad. With the remarkable growth of the Kenya Open and the success of many international players, Kenya was yet to produce its first Kenyan winner at the Kenya Open. We haven't won, but in 1998 we came oh so close. Jacob Okello, an upcoming golfer who back in 1994 had been crowned the amateur winner of the Kenya Open, put up a spirited fight at the Tusker Kenya Open. At the end of regular play, Jacob Okello and Ricardo Gonzalez were locked in an intense duel for the Kenya Open title, forcing a playoff. Unfortunately, Jacob lost in the ensuing playoff to the Argentinian. It remains the closest a Kenyan has ever come to winning the Kenya Open.
Jacob was so near and yet so far. It was a sad day for me. It was a sad day for me. And Ricardo Gonzalez thereafter came into his own also on the European tour. He played also in America and he won many competitions. But he could have relaxed here and given our boy a chance. But remember, that competition was one of the competitions with a score which was only 8 under par.
My fondest memory is when a Kenyan was runners-up. We would love to see a Kenyan win. As Muthaiga, we are very happy now that we are the ones who have hosted Kenya Open most of the time. So I think that's another good memory for us in Muthaiga.
My fondest memory of Kenya Open is when I finished tied for the winner when I lost on the playoff in 1998. But we are celebrating 50 years. We are hoping that maybe with celebrating 50 years we'll have a Kenyan winner.
Jacob Okello's gallant effort at Muthaiga that sunny afternoon gave hope to many that it was very possible for a Kenyan to win the Kenya Open, and that hope remains alive.
Mwaka hii nitajaribu. Mimi sasa nitacheza na hii sababu Kenya Open iko na miaka 50. Tena mimi niko na miaka 50. Sasa mimi najua kama naweza topoa, mimi naweza shinda.
We would love to see a Kenyan pro take home the prize, the first prize, which I think will be equivalent of about 10 million Kenya shillings.
Let's go out there. Let's give it our best for ourselves, for the nation and for the continent. Let's go there and let's believe ourselves.
Presiding over the closing ceremony of the 49th edition of the Kenya Open, His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta challenged the Kenyan golfing fraternity, the Ministry of Sports, Culture and the Arts, and the Ministry of Tourism and Wildlife to raise the standards of the Kenya Open Golf Championship and in doing so, catalyze the growth of golf from the junior ranks to the elite amateurs to professional golfers.
This is a wonderful game, and I think as I said last year, it's a game that we want to see more and more young Kenyans participating in. It's a game that teaches discipline. It's a game that teaches honor. It's a game that we would like to see more and more of our young people participate in. And I would urge you, Peter, to see what it is that you can do as a union to see more and more of our young people participating in this event and even encouraging our schools to make it one of their sporting activities.
It has been an exciting 50 years for the Kenya Open. Ian Woosnam and Vijay Singh were here.
I had a one-on-one interview with Ian Woosnam when he won the Open in 1986. I did an interview with him and he told me how he started as a young player and he struggled to raise some funds to come to the African circuit, and eventually he had to play one event in Wales to win for him to now to be able to get some money to come. When I interviewed him, he told me now this, for me, this is I think a beginning of major things to come.
The great Severiano Ballesteros played and won here, as did his fellow Spaniard, Jose Maria Canizares. We all shed a tear when Ricardo Gonzalez beat Jacob Okello in that thrilling playoff back in 1998. We watched in admiration as Trevor Immelman, who was barely 21, won in the year 2000.
I was 19 years old and, I got an invite into the Kenyan Open and went over there and won the tournament, and that got me exempt for the rest of the year on the Challenge Tour. It made a huge difference for me and it really kick-started me to get into that top 15 to get my card. Since then I've been doing okay.
And who can forget how British player Aaron Rai thrilled his fans and especially his Kenyan-born mother, who rushed to embrace him on the final green after his last stroke with such emotion in 2017.
It feels amazing to be Kenya Open champion. It wasn't something I expected, but it was an incredible week overall. Played very well for the 4 days, so very humbled and very blessed to be Kenyan Open champion.
And there's more to see and still more to come.
I feel that the Kenya Open has a fairly bright future, more particularly because we are now focusing on developing talent. And if we can have golf clubs in all the 47 counties, you can rest assured that in the next 15 to 20 years, we shall have some Kenyan talent out there, which could really come up and make sure that in the future, Kenya will have many players qualifying, and we should increase our chances of winning the top prize.
I think the Kenya Open is ready now to move to the next level. We've been at the top of the Challenge Tour. With the prize money now, we are at the top in terms of prize money as well. And the next stage for this event is primarily for it to now become a major international event, not on the Challenge Tour, but in its own right as an international Open.
It has been a wonderful 50 years. And I think the next 50 years will be more exciting perhaps because we will have matured and have had the necessary experience to conduct this to a higher and greater level than ever before.
Salute to the Kenya Open at 50.